What's going on, traders? Welcome back to another video. I appreciate you tuning in. We got a great one in front of us of talking about how to use the 15-minute chart to help you get into some winning trades as well as avoid some potential losing bad trades. Don't fit your plan. We don't need them right now. Everything like that, right? It was one of the big discussion points at our event in Dallas. So hopefully everyone that was there applied those notes to today's market because it happened just 3 days later. So hopefully we didn't get too chopped up and we can find some winning trades. But I just want to go over some of the markups that we're outside of just the ideas of what we were saying of how to use that 15-minute and just straight up, again, gonna be doing some markups. You got to be storing those. I guess we could look at the charts here. First thing, that at the open. Well, let's look at a markup first because I already have it done. The first short was using that edge full stat below us, the midnight open price, this blue line. It was about a 70% chance that I wanted to be fulfilled. Didn't happen. Despite becoming a point or two away from it this close, it did not get fulfilled, but it still is good to use it as a magnet of where price might want to go. So at this open here, we're seeing sideways for sure. You could argue there's some support here at the bottom, that it's a tough short. It is. But also, there is that magnet price below us at 70%. Just can't ignore that. That 70% of the time, price wants to go down there. So as you see, maybe hold this New York, buyers can't get in, you're throwing in a short somewhere along this New York VWAP with a stop loss back outside the range. Because at this point, we already double broke the opening range rather quickly here and here. So that's off the table. The opening range double break already happened. Couldn't play it. But regardless of if it was fulfilled or not, you can see we're well over 1R and it's 3, 2 quick bars down that I'm taking profits there. Front run that level that in case it doesn't fill, you still get a winning trade out of it. That was about the only money short you could have made, should have made, that the rest were looking for longs. This was the potential second short you would have taken, saying, oh man, well, this came close, but we didn't actually fulfill that 70% stat, so it's still on the table. Let me go maybe get that. But and to give you some credit, it's still holding this New York VWAP. We cannot get above. Buyers are struggling, still building lower highs. This is not a strong break of the lower day VWAP. Clearly, there's sellers in the bottom of that pin. Buyers step back in. I just made a video about that recently. You can go check that out as well. And then we never do get another break of lower day. So you really never should have been induced into a short again saying sellers are back in. So that's first thing. Now, if we just go back to the charts, you can see that short somewhere in and along here, right? Well, let's open up the 15-minute and see what that looks like. If we blow up the 15-minute here coming into the open, that circle I just drew is where you're looking to take those shorts. We just bounced off the daily view up on that first short idea we had. We're above yesterday's New York. From the changeover, we're still making higher lows. I'm leaning long buys today because that's the overall trend. We're making higher highs and higher lows from going back to last week. The trend is very bullish. So this to find shorts would just be short term finding the bearish movement. But the trend and the high probability setups are going to be trying to catch the trend continuation, which is to the upside. So if you caught this short, that first one, you'd be trading down into that daily view up and probably wanted to take profit down there anyways. And then after it, once you see it not be able to hold underneath, you probably don't want to be shorting it right back into it, right? You can see we're actually throwing pins below us. Sellers can't hold down here. We're closing back above the daily every time. So you're really tough to short back into that. So that's why I think this short later on isn't really that great. The play would probably be to long it. So this green circle is the first time we're getting really outside that consolidation from those lower highs. Buyers finally taking the New York and staying above it. Okay, so could you long it there? It would probably pay you, right? If you long it there, maybe stop loss at that structure a little bit lower, it would eventually win. But rather than chasing that first breakout, see that as okay, it's confirming my longs. Nice. The longs are in play on the higher time frame, aka the 15-minute. So maybe this is setting in to go fulfill that. But wait for the retest. It pins right off New York VWAP. Now we can read this as just making lower or higher highs and higher lows off this lower day VWAP. That just go catch the next higher high. Rather than chase this price higher, you get the same price after it's done pulling back just a little bit, right? It's not the end of the world. They both probably do win. You shouldn't have that type of a stop that this would stop you out. But regardless, another thing in play here is the initial balance report that I talk about that all the time. We could pull up the report maybe, but these red lines is the first hour of the day, the initial balance. We know statistically we probably don't double break. Like 0.7% in the past year have we never broken outside of the levels. So we know we're going to at least take out one side, being that we're looking bullish, the 15 minutes looking like it's bullish, higher highs and higher lows right here. We still haven't taken out either side of it, right? You can see the high was set back here. Here's the low. So far, there's no breaks of it. So I know we're going to go break it. So your trade would probably be up to that level. So you have good reason to want to long it from here, knowing that there's probably some gas still in it to go to the upside in line with the 15-minute. You have a clear probability target above you that even if you don't catch this entire move, you can at least trade it up to that red line for a nice 1R win. So you can see here, that arrow I'm pointing to on the left. Now we're getting some bullish continuation. I can just go over here on the 15-minute. We finally got a nice bullish close, right? Sellers at the bottom, leaving a pin, but a nice solid bullish bar. Here's that small pullback. Now let's go continue higher, and we break that initial balance. So just waiting for that structure on the 15-minute to still be in play. Wait for the 1 minute to give you a good price where you can get a good stop loss, right? If you notice on this stop, the stop loss would be below the low of day if you up in New York. You wouldn't want to be long down there anyway. So you get great risk reward to that initial balance, which you know is probably going to break, right? I can just pull up Edgefield real quick here, and you'll see on the initial balance report, 0.78. 2 out of the last 257 days, no breaks of it. So we know we're probably going to break out of it, right? And it's a very high probability that it only single breaks, only double breaks 30% of the time. So now going back to the charts, we can go back to this markup here. Which one were we on? This one. It takes out the top. Well, you know, it probably doesn't want to now come back to the bottom here because that would be a double break. And that only happens 30% of the time. So you could be looking for longs to keep continuing as it's giving you long signals. Now, I don't love the depth of this pullback. It's not the greatest or the biggest. The stop loss isn't even really great here. It's above New York. It's not covering any structure. So it's not the best, but buyers are in. I would like to get a price by this initial balance high because that's my launch pad where I think price wants to move away from. So you get a nice small pullback, break of high day. Boom, there's the breakout. We're probably not going to double break. Let's keep continuing. Now, if you look at it on this one, this is way in the afternoon, last trade of the day. Small pullback after a nice healthy run up here, right? We're not off any level, not even close. Lots of gray space down here that it's just kind of floating to me. I don't really want to take longs that high. But if I can get a more substantial pullback for like 20, 30, 40 minutes like this is, and it's covering more points, I mean, we're going from like 85 to 75, nice little 10-point pullback, and then the break, it's a little bit more reasonable because now we're closer to this initial balance retest. It's kind of off a key level. The only bad thing, I guess you could say, is there's 30 minutes left in the day, and you're taking a trade still. You should be off the desk enjoying your life. But regardless, buyers are back in with 30 minutes left, and you can catch a small little pop for a nice 1R win. So that is on the table. Now, going back to the charts here, we clear out yesterday's high. So that's really when the longs were looking good. So maybe that's how you could warrant this long later on in the afternoon. You're retesting a yesterday's high. Even though there's late in the day, maybe there's some gas still in it because you're retesting a nice key level. But I think regardless, the big lesson was just not to get chopped up in that first hour. Let's go back to the charts here on the 1 minute. And one more lesson would be, how many times do we talk about just surviving, or when in doubt, stay out? That when you just clear all these notes, get rid of that, get rid of this, get rid of this. This whole, I guess we could say, I mean, we got an upside break there, downside here. But I pretty much say this entire box, let's go to there, right? That's at the 9:30 open to 11:30. So 2 hours of, do we want to go short? We're holding New York here in the middle of the range. Do we want to go long? The 15 minutes looking bullish, and it's all the same price, right? Where you were potentially selling it in and around here. That's where you'd actually eventually buy it over here. So price is what pays. It is this price. But regardless, it's a 2 hour window from the open to 11:30 that it's pretty gross, ugly, nothing really clear. Then don't take anything. Once you come in at 11:30, look at all that clean, beautiful trend you can capitalize on, right? We had the long over here, the long and a break of high a day, another break of high day over here, right? The trend then comes in later on. All you had to do was just survive that first 2 hours and not have taken one loss, two loss, three loss, right? And now we're out of risk. We're done for the day, max daily loss. And now the trend's in and we can't do nothing about it because we're out of risk on the day, right? So it's all about just surviving. The trend isn't in here yet, but there's no saying that it won't come in ever. Just give it some time. Let it tell you what it wants to do. Let it break out. Let it give you new information, right? How many times could we just clear all this? You could definitely say this is holding New York VWAP. But how can I short it there, get stopped out, short it here, short it here? How could I short it every time when there's no new information telling me that this is the one that's going to pop, right? That would just be a lucky guess that I knew this fourth time it was ready to go. No, there's no new information telling me that the shorts look even better now, right? We're still struggling with this lower day at the opening range. So it's tough to warrant a short the longer that it fails. And I can't even say that this long looks super good because we're not making a new high a day yet. It could definitely want to build a lower high and come back below us, maybe because of the edge full stat. So still, I'm a little iffy. I don't know. But I think once you finally do break for that new high day, break one side of the initial bounce, you know it's probably only going to break one side. You can long the break of a high day if you up there, and then boom, there's the trend, right? So just surviving when it's ugly, take advantage of the trend when it's nice and clean. Hopefully nobody got too beat up on the shorts. I mean, you could have even made money short, like we went over here at the beginning of the video. That was the only money short. But then if you force to short the rest of the afternoon or rest of the morning, or if I just zoom it in, there's no strong breaks of the opening range or end the lower debut up. So you shouldn't have really been induced into a short here anyways. And so yeah, you shouldn't have even gotten beaten up because it never told you to sell it. Where I think the 15-minute is the biggest lesson. Talked about it a lot in Dallas. Look at this 15-minute, higher highs and higher lows. We're retesting a key VWAP. I want to be looking for longs down here, right? Look how we held it overnight. You catch the longs. You hold it here at the open, catch the longs. I don't want to make it sound so easy, but pretty simple. Just stay one sided. Don't trade against that VWAP. Don't be too zoomed in on the 1 minute, and you can find these nice in trend plays. So there's our recap of the day. Hopefully there was some lessons in there of using that 15-minute. I know everyone in the Dallas was having a lot of notes on that one and feeling like, oh wow, that's like the missing piece. The little too zoomed in on the 1 minute because it may look good for shorts on the 1 minute, but then I go to the 15-minute and I totally don't want the trade anymore. So also incorporate some edgeful stats, right? The initial balance, went over the midnight one. If you saw from the Dallas event, I took those 3 payouts live. So now I'm not with Top Step anymore. I have one account left, but whatever. But I will be trading with Tradeify. So if you do want to start trading with them as well and join me on the new journey, feel free to use my code Evan Dyer. Take advantage of their sale up top. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, I'm going to grab some straight to funded accounts. That seems to be the new wave of going straight to the funded because I don't need to be sitting in a challenge stage for a week or two, wasting my time. So I'll be excited to go with this and follow their consistency rules, stack up some more payouts heading into the start of the new year. So I'm really excited about that. The event was great. Coming back to the desk was the first full day back since the event, since we were off yesterday. And already implementing those lessons we talked about last Thursday and Friday, implementing them here on Tuesday. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found some lessons in it. If you did, drop a like, leave a comment, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning.